We're doing the Replacements discography ranking. A nice easy video, a nice straightforward thing. I know in my head where they rank for me. I've got a couple of hot takes, but it's largely kind of follows a similar route, you know. So all the discography rankings I've seen of the Replacements include the Stink EP, and usually it comes out dead last, largely because it's only got 8 songs on it. If I was ranking a Replacement song track by track discography from worst to best, several of these songs would come up quite high. Kids Don't Follow is incredible. That's a top Replacements moment. Go, Gimme Noise, Stuck in the Middle's great. That's an underrated one. So it's got some great songs on it. But yeah, just naturally, because it's only an EP as opposed to an album, I think it does have to come out dead last, unfortunately. And then I kind of follow the train of opinion. The standard opinion is that then All Shook Down would come out at the bottom. It also does for me, but only again by kind of proxy, because it doesn't really feel like a Replacements album in the way that the ones before it did. Now, again, song-wise, this album's brilliant. If I was going purely on merit, I think All Shook Down's probably a lot higher than some of these, but because the Replacements weren't about merit, they were about feeling and about attitude, even though there's a song on here called Attitude, it's about that feeling. And on this album, it lacks that sense of chaos is not there anymore, and it's quite a depressing album. If you think of it as the first Paul Westerberg solo album, that works as well. But then I think he made better solo records as well. I think Paul Westerberg's solo career doesn't get the kind of treatment that it deserves when you consider how many great albums he's put out. But let's look at the songs here. Merry Go Round's great. One Wink at a Time is a great song. Ben Out of Shape, Nobody, Someone Take the Wheel, When It Began. The title track's great. Happy Town, My Little Problem. There's a lot of really good songs on this album. It's pretty stacked. They kind of forgot. They did this a lot. There's a really great B-side. There's 2 really great B-sides. 3 really great B-sides, I should say. Ought to Get Love, Satellite, and Kissing in Action. Bloody hell. How do they not end up on the album? God, I'm just looking at it now. Ought to Get Love's incredible. Satellite, Kissing in Action. They're the 3 best songs. That's why this album isn't high enough on this list. It's because of that. God. What are they doing? This is a theme that pops up in a lot that we're going to talk about. Now, this is my first hot take in this ranking. For me, the next one would be Pleased to Meet Me, which I think for a lot of fans of a certain age was probably the first Replacements album they heard. It's got a lot of their best songs on it as well. Again, as a recurring theme, every album has at least 4 or 5 just insanely good songs. In this album's case, I would give it to IOU, Alex Chilton, Nevermind, Valentine's. Oh, it's so good. Skyway and Can't Hardly Wait, of course. The rest of it is not brilliant, like, by their standards. That's my feeling. Like and then there's a lot of really great songs that they didn't put on the album. Again, when you get the deluxe edition, and it's got the best one that they didn't use is Trouble on the Way, which is just an unbelievably good song that Tommy Stinson wrote that just didn't get used. And you've got Learn How to Fail, Birthday Gal, Election Day. There's a lot of Beer for Breakfast, another really good one. And Chris Mars' only contribution as a songwriter, All He Wants to Do Is Fish. They didn't use any of this stuff. There's also they did a lot of like covers. I think they were going to do like a covers EP or something at one point. Correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, famously did a lot of covers live. The production on this one is very much of its time. Even though it's Jim Dickinson and they're in Ardent Studios, it doesn't sound like a Big Star album, which I think is obviously why they would have gone there to do that. But it doesn't sound like Big Star at all. It sounds like a late 80s production. And I do think I think it suffers slightly. A lot of people talk about the production on their other albums affecting it. I think the production on this album is lacking for me. It's too shiny. Next in my discography ranking would be a similarly shiny album, actually. Don't Tell a Soul. I like Don't Tell a Soul more than Pleased to Meet Me. I really do. And I went through a phase where I listened to this album constantly, and it's when you read the story of it in Trouble Boys of how it came to be. It's kind of just this complete car crash. I think this album gets really underrated. When I look at the track list compared to the other ones that we've looked at, where I feel like there's quite a bit of filler on the other albums we've mentioned so far, I look at this one and it's only I Won't that strikes me as being a bit of a filler moment. I think this album's way stronger song-wise, and some of their most underrated tracks like We'll Inherit the Earth, Asking Me Lies, Rock and Roll Ghost, Darling One. These are, yeah. Again, there's Portland, which they should have used. They should have put Portland in as like the end track, which obviously if you get the CD thing or the extended thing, it comes after Darling One anyway. And then there's the Dead Man's Ghost. What's it called? Dead Man's Pop, isn't it? Yeah, Dead Man's Pop, which is the version without the Chris Lord Alge mix on it. That's really cool, but I like the original. Whereas Pleased to Meet Me is kind of overly shiny for what they were going for with that album, because this album is a little bit more of like a kind of arena rock sized album. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. But yeah, Talent Show, back to back, Will Inherit the Earth, Aching to Be. God, so many good I'll Be Used on this. Come on, man. Some people trash this album. I'm looking at the ratings on here. 2.5 stars from All Music. 2 stars in the Rolling Stone album guide. Pfft, disgusting. 4 out of 10 from Spin Alternative Record Guide. Pfft, yuck. What are these critics doing for a living? Absolute joke. Absolute bloody joke. Anyway, moving on. Moving on in the ranking, I will now give it to Sorry Ma Forgot to Take Out the Trash. Now, yeah, this album's very juvenile, but that's what makes it brilliant. And there's no skips for me on this album, and it's all gravy from here on in, as far as I'm concerned. Some of the tracks that maybe seem a little bit throwaway at first suddenly start to make a lot more sense the more you listen to it. Things like More Cigarettes, I Hate Music, Otto suddenly become kind of quite special. I love that line in More Cigarettes. Smoke my cigarettes, drink my cola. Do you think he's gonna say drink my beer? But then there's some other songs on here like I'm in Trouble, Don't Ask Why, Taking a Ride. Oh man, Raised in the City. Oh Jesus. It's so good. And my favourite, I think, is Shiftless When Idle. I think the lyric to that song is just spot on. And it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, they were like, what, 20 years old? Apart from Tommy, who was about bloody 10. Just making an incredibly vital album. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And what was this? Blackberry Way in Minneapolis. Peter Jesperson producing it. Yeah, that's proper, isn't it? This is a start to finish brilliant album, and it shows, I think, that even from the get-go, that Paul Westerberg was just using punk as a vehicle to perfect his songwriting. I think he had the vision in his head already. with the expanded edition with the original demos on it, you suddenly you hear the original demo versions of those songs. I think he just knew from the get-go. And If Only You Were Lonely, which was the B-side to I'm in Trouble. He's already doing acoustic balladry about, you know, being being a miserable piss artist. Get in. Oh man. Yeah. I don't know. I can't help but smile when I think about this album, because it's so much fun. It's the way music should be. Moving on then, I'll have Tim in third place. I love the new mix of it. I do think it improves upon the original mix, but then I'm going to take these as their original form, you know. And yeah, the original mix is very weird. It's a very weird sounding album. But this is a band in flux, you know, and this is why this album is so. And to be honest, the other two albums that are above it in my ranking as well has the same feeling. This is what makes the Replacements, that mid period of the Replacements, so important and so impressive. Is that this is a band in flux. This is the sound of, you know, alternative music becoming something that makes sense, that makes kind of that could essentially cross over into a mainstream audience. But it wasn't going to be the Replacements, because they're still, you know, you've got like Dose of Thunder and Lay It Down, Clown, you know, they're mucking about, Waitress in the Sky. But then also you get Hold My Life, you get Kiss Me on the Bus, you get Swinging Party, you get Bastards Are Young, you get Left of the Dial, Little Mascara, and Here Comes a Regular. Oh man. It's an incredible set of songs. And they had Can't Hardly Wait, which they'd done a million times, and then they never used it. And Nowhere Is My Home as well was an outtake on this album. The outtakes are really important, as you can see, you know, like sod the weird production for a second and just look at look at how great these songs are, man. And yeah, they weren't having a good time. They got signed. Bob Stinson was spiraling out. I think he barely plays on the album. I think there's literally a couple of guitar solos, if I'm led to believe what it says in the book. And you know, what could have been, I suppose, is the question. But sod that. Look at what you've got. You know, look at what you've got. This is a monumental album. Next one in my ranking is going to be Hootenanny, which I think a lot of other people would probably put much lower. So I suppose this is my other big hot take. Hootenanny is the spirit of the Replacements. This is the true spirit of the Replacements. To put an album with several great songs on it and open with the title track into Run It, before you do Colour Me Impressed and before you do Willpower and Take Me Down to the Hospital, and then you're going to put Mr. Whirly at the end after that, then you get Within Your Reach, which I think is probably the key song. Colour Me Impressed and Within Your Reach on this album are the key songs, aren't they? Two of the best songs ever written amongst what sounds like just a bunch of outtakes, drunken outtakes, which I think is what most of this is. Love Lines is, definitely. And then you get Heyday and Treatment Bound at the end as well. You know, it's just a total ragtag bunch of songs. But, you know, when you look at this album, and I need to get more of them on vinyl, it's the only one I've got, and you see the pictures on the back, you know, it makes a lot of sense. This is a band, again, the kind of band that's sort of in flux. This is the real flux of it all. They're not a punk band, they're not a rock band, they're the Replacements. totally out of place and out of step with their peers and with the time that they came through in. But Treatment Bound, Willpower, Colour Me Impressed, Within Your Reach, and Heyday. 5 of my favourite songs. I think if I could have written one replacement song, it'd be Colour Me Impressed. And Within Your Reach would be in the second place. But that means that Let It Be is my number 1 pick for the replacements. If hootenanny is the kind of ultra flux, then this is it coming into focus. Even though you get, you have to have the wig out tracks, you have to have We're Coming Out and Tommy Gets His Tonsils Out and Black Diamond and Gary's Got a Boner in the mix. But that helps. That you got to have rough with the smooth. That's the whole point of the replacements, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. But then when you've got songs like I Will Dare, Favorite Thing, Androgynous, Unsatisfied, Seen Your Video, 16 Blue, and Answering Machine. This is up there. This is where they made an album that is totally up there and probably better, actually, in a lot of ways than your Beatles, Stones, Who, Kinks albums. This is a classic album, a classic rock record of all time. Of all time, this is an absolute masterpiece. Answering Machine, I think, I could listen to that for hours, Westerberg's lyrics, are moving from the juvenile thing into something incredible. And again, it's that moment of flux where, you get Tommy Gets His Tonsils Out before a song like Androgynous. And Androgynous and 16 Blue are unbelievably ahead of their time, forward thinking, even now where we are in a sort of in socio-political climates. Are you getting guitar bands making a statement like Androgynous? Hell no. Nobody's saying that. Nobody is saying that. And it's this supposed bunch of drunken jokers that actually had the nerve and the bottle to write a song like that. That is absolutely stupendous. And Unsatisfied, they're not even that kind of lyrically dense, a lot of these songs. They do that again on Tim with Hold My Life, which kind of doesn't even really have proper lyrics, But like Unsatisfied and Seen Your Video, they're kind of almost like repetitive chants in a lot of ways. Look me in the eyes and tell me I'm satisfied. I'm unsatisfied. Repeat. Drum it into the ground. But then you will get lyrically dense songs. Like I Will Dare is quite a lyrically dense song. And 16 Blue. Oh man, you can't beat this. You can't beat this. And then some of the outtakes, the covers that they did here, like Temptation Eyes and Heartbeat, It's a Love Beat in particular, I think I think that's the best cover they ever recorded. My main thing as well, beyond this, if you're getting into the replacements, or if you're a big Replacements fan and you haven't delved into the live stuff, go and listen to some of the outtakes and the bootlegs of their live recordings. They're so good. They're so feral. And they didn't give a monkeys. They didn't care. They just didn't care. They wrote some of the best songs of all time and they didn't give a monkeys about anything. Absolutely. I know I'm gonna have a good rest of my day now that I've gone through all of these songs. I feel charged up. I feel revitalized in a way that just is. I love this band. I love this band so much. Oh, I feel good. I feel so good, man. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. All right.